Birmingham currently needs some divine intervention. Birmingham has been let down. Birmingham has been failed by our current leadership for too long. We have a whole barrage of issues. And these elections in 2026, for me, are crucial because this is a turning point. This is pivotal. What will the next batch of councillors do? Can it get any worse? What will they do to bring change? So with me this evening, we have a independent hopeful, a very well-known personality within the community, Mr. Harris Khaliq, who is standing for the ward of Ward End, somewhere that I grew up. So Harris, first of all, thank you very much for coming. I did grow up in Ward End. I went to Washington School.
MashaAllah.
I lived on Cottrell's Lane.
Oh, wow. Around the corner.
In a time where Ward End was predominantly white. And we were chased around by the old mob. But
How many years ago was that?
84.
Wow.
83, 84, 85.
You're showing your age a bit.
Yeah. I went solely for a bit and then I went to Washington.
I was born in 1990.
Yeah. But I left the area very quick. My parents, and they got me out. Alhamdulillah. But thank you for joining us. You've just been to hustings. How was that?
I didn't go to the hustings. We've been campaigning.
Have you been
all
campaigning?
day, yeah.
So how's your campaign going?
So, yeah, it's very busy at the moment. We're trying to take advantage of the good weather and also the bank holiday weekend.
Yes.
So I think we aim to do about 350 houses a day for the next few days. And the responses on the door are amazing, right? You know, you're knocking doors, people are giving you water bottles, people are welcoming you inside. The amount of cups of teas we've had, I think I could tell as the ward end candidate, I could probably host like a trophy event for who makes the best tea in ward end. That's how many teas we've had. But yeah, alhamdulillah, the responses are amazing.
People on the TikTok Live, thank you for joining. Please double tap and share. I have any questions for Harris Khaliq, please do feel free to put them in the box. Please make sure they are appropriate questions. Don't make me call you out. So Harris, a bit about yourself, please. People that don't know you.
So 35, father of 3, brought up in Ward End, lived in Ward End for 35 years, went to school in Ward End, lived in Ward End, went to university from my house in Ward End, moved to Texas in 2017 for 6 months and couldn't wait to get back to my home in Ward End because that's all I know, right? Yeah, so I'm a computer science graduate. I've got a first class honours in computer science. I've always been that tech guy kind of from a young age, right? Yeah, and post-graduating, I've always wanted to kind of give back to my community, and I have done, right? Yeah, wherever I've been able to pay forward, I've gone out my way to make sure I do that because growing up in a community where you see the challenges getting more and more and more for the next generation, it felt like it was my kind of obligation to give back. And being an only child, I didn't have that role model in my family who was a graduate. Alhamdulillah, my father was a hard worker, factory worker. You know, he was doing all the hours and he really, really valued education. Like I remember, alhamdulillah, man, my father, he'd be doing 12-hour shifts and then on Saturdays and Sundays, he'd make sure I go tuition. And the tuition place I used to go to was all the way in Edgbaston. So it was like AA tuition, right? That's how much he valued it because he knew he didn't have access to it. He left Pakistan at 14, came to England, and he never used to drive back home because we never used to have enough money to have the petrol to come back home. So he'd wait in the car. And I remember one day it was snowing and the car park was full of snow. But yet he sat in the car, heaters on, and he waited 3 hours for that tuition lesson. So education was really, really big in our household. There was no other option but to educate. And alhamdulillah, that opened so many doors and that got me through uni and that led to a graduate scheme. And now I work as a digital guy for Jaguar Land Rover. Previous jobs, I worked for KPMG in Canary Wharf. Before that, worked for Experian. So loads of stuff in the tech area.
Any political background?
I'm a caring resident and I'm a volunteer who's been kind of activist. So voluntarily and as an activist, I've done loads of work. So for 10 years, I was the volunteer at HMP Birmingham. So through university, I loved working in the jail. I wanted to help people. I wanted to support people who went to jail to look at how we could reduce reoffending. I think it was something that I really, really cared about. And I was very, very interested in hearing people's stories and hearing that what life could look like and helping them shape post-jail life. I recently took up a voluntary role in Oakwood Jail as well. I supported there, but no political background. I'm a governor at...
So what shaped your decision to stand as a councillor? I mean, councillor's a responsibility. They say it's a part-time job, but I know it's not a part-time job.
It's no longer a part-time job because of all the years of political debt that has incurred, especially in inner city areas. And to be honest with you, my political uprise was kind of a moment of madness. I think last February I was sitting at home and someone had reached out to me because they wanted to get a disabled bay for their house for their mother who was really, really struggling to get in and out the house, and they didn't know how to do it. And I'd written an email to my local councillor twice, and I got no response. And when they rang me again, and they were really, really distressed, and the agency, I could tell by the sound of their voice, and they were helpless, and I felt helpless.
Yeah.
And then the penny kind of dropped for me that how many other people are going to be feeling like this, and how come people are paying more in council tax but receiving less? It's not like they wanted the disabled bay for free, right? They wanted to pay for this, but because I felt that our councillors have become spoiled, or in our language, ladle, they consider these seats golden. They consider they don't have to do anything. Now they've got to the point of, we don't even need to reply. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to step up because this is my community. These are my neighbors. These are the people that I call uncle and auntie.
Yeah.
What am I going to do now? So I stood up, I made a Facebook post, and I announced it, and I left the rest to Allah. And everyone reached out to me and they said, politics is dirty. You don't have a big bladery. You're not from a big caste. You don't have no brothers and sisters. You don't have a big family. How are you going to cope in doing politics? Do you not know what politics is like in Birmingham? I said, I'm not bothered. I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to stand up sincerely because I know I've got the experience and I've got the talent, and Allah will send the right people to me to help me build the team. And alhamdulillah, we're looking over a year on, right? Yeah, I've been blessed with so many locals that have come out of nowhere.
What do you think the current frustrations are with the public and the current politicians and the current councillors?
There's so many big things, but there's so many small things as well. And if we start at the small things, right, yeah, because I'm sure everyone who's come on has spoken about a lot of the big things like fly tipping and rubbish. So I'm going to try not to talk about fly tipping and rubbish.
No, that's a Birmingham-wide thing.
It's a Birmingham-wide thing, right? Yeah. But actually the small things is really simple as having a voice. So our people are used to having resident meetings, having monthly surgeries, but even more than that, they were used to neighbourhood offices. So, somewhere to go in, and
That's
I've
a
got
thing
a
from
form.
the past, isn't it?
It's a thing from the past, but it's a blast from the past when you talk about it, especially for someone of my generation who can kind of tap a button. People who are used to having this access. So when you talk to them and we take them back to the good old days or when they were happy with politicians, these were the things they were really, really happy with. And now all of a sudden they feel voiceless. The digital era has boomed and a lot of things have gone digital, right? So there's a segment and a demographic of the community who has kind of been moved out, left behind, and now don't have access to get the basic things done like report a pothole, request a disability badge, because everything's become digital.
Yes.
People want to be heard, and because they're not being heard, that is leading to frustration because they don't know what to do. The council sold a lot of the assets, so you can't go turn up to the council house on Lancaster Circus and
There's
say,
no physical
hello.
offices anymore, is it? Yeah.
There's nowhere to go. So your neighborhood offices are gone. Your phone lines that were outsourced, they were closed down. So now you go through 15 options, you get through an automated machine and they say, thank you, please go to your Brum account and report XYZ.
Yes.
Without taking into consideration, there's a large group of community who don't know how to
not
use a
savvy.
Brum account,
Are not
or
savvy.
our elderly pensioners who worked so hard and paid council tax for 50, 60 years of their life. They completely moved out and they don't know what to do. That frustration has boiled up so bad that people, the penny has dropped that we need to do something. And the changes through all ages, I would say, from the young people to the old people. People's frustration it's that boiling point, right? I know you're somebody who's been in politics, right? Yeah, and you've probably seen it for longer than me. But this election, the tone of the town over the last 2 years is they want something different.
There is a tone of the town, and yeah, everybody's frustrated. But you have national parties, you have the big parties. As an independent, right, you're saying all the right things. You've got the right issues, and obviously every area's got its own unique issues as well as the overall arching issues of Birmingham. How will you affect change, though, as an independent? Have you got any clout in the council?
So I'm an ex-council worker, by the way. So I worked for the council for about 18 months, 2 years. I was a part of a team called In Planning and Regeneration that bought over £450 million to Birmingham. Okay. And that was a part of a big scheme where we were creating jobs. So for every £10,000 we'd give to businesses, we would get one job created or one job saved that was up for redundancy. And we've done that throughout the West Midlands and Shropshire and the Black Country through the combined partnership. And we had massive, massive, massive results. As somebody who's worked in the council, I know how to navigate the council. And even as a resident, I know how to navigate the council. So for me to do community work and to help my residents has always been kind of very easy for me, because I know what department to go. I know how to navigate through. I know who certain people are who are in certain places. And one thing to point out, we have great council officers who are being used by political engineering to push party narratives, when actually they just want to go do a good job. And they are kind of left to bring together a broken system, and they're being asked to put back a broken system, right?
What has gone wrong in the last, let's just say the last 4 years?
So it all started when the Tories and the Liberal Democrats had this weird coalition, right? Yeah, I think the mismanagement started from there, and then when Labour took over and Labour were elected, they weren't able, because they didn't have the right skill, they didn't have the right capability, and they didn't have the right players, right? They were kind of up against the people that they were working with within their party to fix the mismanagement that was from the previous group, and they weren't able to get their grips on it. In fact, they made it worse, and they probably tripled it, right? Yeah, and now we're left with a good part of 12 to 15 years worth of political debt that no one knows what to do. You've got commissioners coming in there. You've got 2 changes of commissioners now, right? Yeah. The first group came in, didn't work for them. Then another group came in. They've gone to consultancies and spent millions and millions of pounds. And what they're up against is a monolithic architecture of a council that is the largest council in Europe, that they don't know what to do with, and they're not thinking out of the box, right? Yeah, because you don't have the smart whips. The other thing is,
Do you think they're out of touch with the public?
they're miles off from the public, and they're miles off with creative thinking. They're thinking out of the box, thinking about, okay, what can we do and how can we take what residents need and do what the right thing by the residents is. And there's also a lot of infighting. The downfall of the current council leaders has been the infighting. Labour's infighting between who's going to be the leader, who's going to be the cabinet member.
Do you not
That's
feel
crazy.
there's lack of accountability as well from the top?
Yeah, and there's no accountability at the top. That's why people don't need to reply to
There's
emails.
infighting. There's all the dramas that go on, and we hear so many things. But amongst all that, the victims are me and you, the residents of Birmingham.
100%. And the victims are me and you, and the bigger victims are the vulnerable of the system. So when you look at the parents, you look at the people who are disabled, you look at the people. So, little things like in schools, we used to see like speech and therapist teachers. Where did all these roles go? They just disappeared.
Well, I mean, I have a stutter, and I had those services back in my day it was really good.
Do you remember the milk and wagon wheel?
Yeah. I still remember the milk and the bottle of milk.
Yeah.
But I went to school a very long time ago. Not that I'm that old, but yeah. But now, I mean, the purpose of me doing this podcast, realistically, is I'm 50 years old. I'm born and raised here. I went nursery, infant school, junior school, college, university, and I've seen the changes over the time. And now I have a grandchild. It really worries me as to what the future holds for Birmingham. Because we've become diverse. We are, obviously our population's increased, but yet our services and our facilities are on the decline, despite how modern the world is getting. We should be in a much, much better place. We're the largest council in Europe. Why are we being compared to third world countries?
And we've got money for all the wrong things. And me being a 90s kid or a 90s student from school, right? Yeah, I remember, because they used to feel children were malnourished, they used to give that carton of milk and that wagon wheel. And now you've got parents not able to give breakfast to their children, and kids are going to school hungry. So I'm a governor at both my old schools. I'm a governor at Slayfield School and a governor at Thornton School. And if any of my students or their parents are watching, big up Slayfield and Thornton, right? Yeah, but people are really, really challenged, right? Yeah, and they're not able to live with dignity and respect. And all this has been created from bad political choices. Bad political choices that have been made time and time and time again, who have left the people in society worse off, yet paying more and more and more and more. And how do we get out of this vicious cycle? Because there is a positive, and we should show people that there is a silver lining or a light at the end of this tunnel, right? Yeah, and that is by the people who care, the people who empathize, the people who stay awake at night worrying about the people on the left and right of them coming forward. and taking a stance, because you're not going to become rich from being a councillor, especially if you've got a job, right? Yeah, and you're a 40-50% taxpayer, right? Yeah, what's £18,000 a year? It's never about the £18,000 a year. It's about the whole thing of servitude. And if you get a dopamine kick about solving people's problems, this is the right job for you. If you grew up in a community and you educated, or you got even gained experience, and you're an electrician, plasterer, plumber, doctor, engineer, accountant, lawyer, our community, alhamdulillah,
We've got people
everything, right?
Yeah. All over the place.
And we've got the right people.
Yes.
Yet the barriers to come into politics to do the right job are up, but which is preventing the right people from coming forward. Birmingham politics.
I don't think the barriers are up. I think particularly with this election, I said yesterday, every Chacha Muhammad Tariq is joining the bandwagon. And that does concern me as well. That does concern me, because there's a demographic, I feel, being as outspoken as I am, that are having launch parties. And I think they're doing it for all the wrong reasons. And I've invited them to come on the podcast, and they're avoiding me like the plague. Because I really would like to question their intentions. I would like to question, and I'm not here to make anyone look bad, but as a resident of Birmingham, whether I live in your ward or not, I live in Birmingham. And I have the right to ask you what you plan to do and how you plan to do it. And if you're having launch parties and doing massive dabta and putting hard on people, and maybe you're not the right person for the job.
And I'll take this opportunity to use your platform to kind of send a message out, but also to kind of answer your question right here, that if you've stood as a candidate for a toll baja or a har or any silly nonsense like this, you should really, really have some self-accountability when you go to sleep at night on the impact of what you're trying to do, because there's good people who are standing who you're going to break the vote for, and actually you're going to prevent the right person coming out to support the community the way they need it. Yeah. The second thing is, right, these uncles, chache, lale, mave, most of these, or a lot of these people, are standing to participate, not to win, because of what they perceive as a glamour from being a candidate. Yes. So if you're the type of person who loves the photo outside Desi Dera in a straight line, you can still have those photos, right? Yeah, but it doesn't mean you need to be a councillor or a councillor candidate, and you don't need to go back to Pakistan and start telling people I'm the opposition or whatever.
Shahid Butt said something that day, and it really resonated with me. He said, if you actually understood what the role of a councillor is, you would run from it. Yeah. And I said the same thing 2 weeks before on a video. I said, I don't understand how people are getting excited and jumping on the bandwagon, because if you actually understood what this role entails, you would have won it. Why am I not standing?
And
it's just not for me, because it's just not for me.
And people have come to me and said to me, Harris, you've got a great job. You've got a career. I was going to become a partner at KPMG at the Big Four, but I left Canary Wharf because I wanted to look after my parents, to work at a job that was more flexible for me to work from home, right? Yeah. I did all this, and people are like, why would you sacrifice everything? But I'm like, I owe it to my community, and I owe it to my people, and I owe it. My dad educated me to help others and trying to carry them along with me. And being an ex-council officer, we need the smartest and the creme de la creme from our community to come forward. And we need those who are just participating to step aside and enable. And your reward will be from Allah for doing this. If you are sincere and you step aside to create a path for somebody to bring change to the community that helps one person's life become better, imagine the reward for this. So let's all question tonight, or whenever you watch this, right, on what you're going to get out of this. But I don't think they will, right, because they love this drama bazi and all these Matei boxes.
This is a big concern for me and a big gripe for me, and I'm taking steps to kind of call certain people and invite them and get them here, because they could be genuine. I could be wrong. And I hope to God that I am wrong. But from what I'm seeing and from what my experience tells me, maybe not every candidate is in it for the right reasons.
And the public should hold them to account. When these people come knocking your door, you should ask these people. And if they're the type of person who comes on TikTok who doesn't have the confidence to put their voice forward, they things like the Etrigal song on the background.
Yeah.
You're not Etrigal, you're going to be a councillor. Yeah. Etrigal is far above becoming a councillor. This is a Hadim job, right? Yeah, you're like a public servant, right? Yeah, this is servant leadership. You lead from within the community, never on top. I don't know where this all came from, right? Yeah, but if you're the type of person who enjoys these Etrigal backgrounds, you don't enjoy your voice being heard because you're not confident, how will you have the confidence or the conkers to come and stand in the council chamber?
This is my problem. And first of all, you have a language problem. Secondly, you have an understanding problem. That how does structure inside the council house work?
They haven't got a clue.
Right. So how are these people going to represent my interests in the council house?
And when you talk to them about how are we going to form a majority, so where we're going to get 51 seats from, it's boom, over their head. They haven't got a clue. Look, the silliest one was in Aston, the Labour Party candidate made a song and it was Labour Party Tarana. It's on Spotify for those of you who are interested in listening to this nonsense, right? Yeah. And I was listening to it and honestly, I thought to myself, is this how silly he thinks our community is? That you want to mug our community off? You think after failing the council, in just next to Aston in Perry Bar, wasting money on a vanity project, blowing all this money on an Oracle system, sporting a genocide where Keir Starmer said to cut the water off, displacing over 100,000 people in Palestine. You think the community wants to hear your Tarana to win the vote back? What a joke, right? But the fact that this person feels that our people are operating at this level, that a Tarana will make them. The song was a joke, and the guy who sang the song, Asif Khan, is a joke for making this song, right? Yeah. How would you and why would you do this? Our community is above this. People's parents who worked in factories educated their kids. We've got the best of the best in our community. And the great thing is, when you knock doors, people's parents are opening the doors and you know what they're saying? But all our lives, we told our kids, this is who to vote for. Our kids are now coming and they're saying, Dad, this is who to vote for. We feel proud as parents.
Yeah, my last guest was the 22-year-old Rihan,
Yes.
independent candidate for Spark Brook. What a kid. And I did ask him, because he's the younger generation coming through now. We've always followed our parents' words of wisdom, vote Labour. And as Asians, as people of colour, as Muslims, as Pakistanis, and I'm sure the Indian community as well, they've always voted for the gulab. They've voted for the rose. Now, I think the rhetoric's changing now. And I think the youngsters are coming through and having that conversation with their parents that, listen, things have changed now. Do you see a shift?
100% right, yeah. Like the younger generation, the millennials, the Gen X's, they're coming out, right? Yeah, you look,
Even 4 years ago when I stood election, honestly, I was standing at a polling station on the day of the vote, and I had auntie saying to me, "Putra sa gulab ki vote desa." It's the first time I'd heard of the phrase. I was baffled. And this was in 22. Do you think that that's changed now?
I'm seeing it change. But on the flip side of it, I'm seeing the opposition taking advantage of illiteracy, because a lot of people won't recognize a name because there's still a great amount of people who vote.
You have tools like social media now. You can get the information to people's hands or their devices, right? Rather than whereas before it was door knocking.
Electoral Commission hasn't helped by removing numbers.
Yes.
And all these things.
GDPR.
Exactly right. Yeah. So as in 1, 2, 3, 4 on the ballot paper, they've removed it.
Yeah.
So this kind of sets up some people from being unable to find. So the tactics that a lot of people have played is that they've tried to put multiple independents in an inner city area because it will confuse
I know
people
one
where
ward
to
where
vote.
there's 11 candidates.
Yeah, we're seeing it everywhere.
11
right?
candidates in one ward. I mean, that's going to defragment the whole vote.
And we are in a regulated election period. Otherwise, I would have commented on that. Yeah. And I can tell you now, most of those 11 didn't want to stand. Yeah. There's a hand behind them and a power behind them who's asked them to stand.
The council's financial crisis, we're in debt.
Well, all of a sudden, we're coming out of debt.
Well, to affect change, there's going to have to be some hard decisions to be made. What do you cut to find the money for something you want to push or something that you want to achieve?
I think the first thing is having radical transparency. So people need to know what we're talking about. And I think we need to listen to people and to liaise with people on making decisions around what they'd like to see cut, to make the decision on what they'd like to have. That's the first thing. People are feeling left out of the political system and unable to make choices. This is where you
But
work.
hasn't that been always been the case?
Nah, I've not seen it at all. As a resident, as someone who pays attention to this stuff, we're not seeing it right here. We're seeing random libraries being cut. We're seeing swimming pools being cut. Then we're seeing petitions about swimming pools opening by the same people that closed them. And we're in this kind of spiral.
But the libraries and the swimming pools, people of the older demographic, they understand it or appreciate it. But the new millennials coming through, for them, this is the norm. Because they haven't seen what we've seen. You speak about the wagon wheel, you speak about the milk. You ask a kid of today, or you tell them that we used to get milk back in the day, they won't believe you because, you know, if they haven't got money in their parent pay account right now, they're not going to have lunch.
Or parent pay.
Yeah. If they and I get my daughter every 2-3 weeks messaging me from school saying, "Oh, we'll put some money in," because they won't. They just can't have lunch.
100%. But you know, like libraries, we need to reinvent the library of today, right? Yeah. So what could the library be today? A community hub. What could it have in there? When we talk about youth centers and all these things that have closed, we've still got buildings that we can use for other stuff, right? Yeah. But we're not thinking like that. This is what caused the death of the high street because people didn't think about innovative solutions for what the high street could be. High street's dead. People are in a on-demand culture now, right? Yeah, you press a button, Amazon Prime delivers it to your house.
Well, I had somebody in a couple of days ago, and they said to me that the high street's thriving. I said, "Which high street are you talking about?" Because every high street that I'm looking at, they're struggling.
The big brands are closing, right? Look, as somebody who doesn't like going shopping and doesn't like busy shops, right? Yeah, I order multiple sizes of clothes to my house.
Everyone does.
And I try one on, and one that fits, and I send them all back. I'd prefer to spend £300 at once and return 3 of them and keep the one I like and get the refund rather than go to town and struggle with parking, struggle with, you know, all the rest of the challenges that you get into a high street. So, and these are the same things we need to apply to council facilities, that the ones that we've got left, how do we make them thrive? How do we make them serve the community? And the ones that we can't, how do we give them back to the community to do something with?
What lesson should Birmingham learn from its current financial situation?
That the people that we put in charge need to be the people who are capable, experienced enough to make the right financial decisions. The other thing is that we need to not trust all the information that sometimes is made available to us. So for the last 3 or 4 years, the key word has been bankrupt, 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 bankrupt. Now we've come a few weeks away from election time. Money just came out of nowhere. I can give you a great example, right? Yeah. So ENTF funding is made available for all wards, and single wards have money, and then double wards have double the money.
Explain ENTF.
It's like environment transport, network transport funding, right? Which is for roads to become one-ways, roads to have giveaways. So you seen outside Pastry House, that junction that was made, that was ENTF funding.
Okay.
So that money is proposed every year and given forward. In my ward, this money was carried over year on year on year. We came to the end of the election, well, closer to the election period, at the end of the council's duration, and there was a bulk of money now available. And yet we were told there was no money available. They accumulated it because they wanted to make themselves look glorious and mighty and hardworking to bring that money back in at the last time. But what is the cost of that? The cost of that is that on Warden Road, a young girl was hit by a car because the money wasn't invested in street speed calming measures. It wasn't invested in road safety.
And Warden Road, it can be a rat race, can't it?
It can be. Yeah. And there's many other roads and many other areas. So Bamville Road and St. Agatha's Road and Thornton Road and these roads that we live by are in need of one-way systems, because you know how it works, right? Yeah, one car comes, the other car comes, the school teacher's playing traffic warden. Yeah. Our school teachers are challenged so much.
Yes, completely.
In my schools where my children go, the teacher in the morning is playing traffic warden. So they're outside. They're asking cars to come one way on the road, on a two-way road. Then someone still decides not to follow. Yeah. They're taking kids out. And then they're battling off the people who are these Uncle G's or these workers who are fighting away and saying, we don't want to come this way, to calm them down. It's not the teacher's job to be doing this. The teacher should be preparing the class in the morning. Yeah. The children should be able to get to school. We've even seen the disappearance in my ward of the lollipop lady. So we used to have a lollipop lady. She was brilliant. And in the last 6 weeks, she's gone. And we're emailing the council to ask, where's she gone? Can we have a replacement? No reply. Silence. If we really care about our children, then we need to set them up for success on their way to school and on the way back from school.
Okay. What are the three main issues in your particular ward?
So there's three big issues. So HS2, I know other people have spoken about HS2, but HS2 exists in my ward. We gave away just under 1/3 of ward end away to HS2 to build something
Which I don't think
magnificent.
I'll ever use in my lifetime.
I'm sure I won't, and I'm sure the two people who are in front of us won't as well, right? Yeah. However, we gave away 1/3 of ward end, which used to be the LDV land Muras factory,
Yes.
where many of our elders worked, and Mataya worked there, right? My uncle, and it employed so many people. That's why a lot of people moved to ward end, because they worked in Muras factory, which was LDV, right? We gave that away. HS2 sold a part of it to Aviva, which built a logistics hub. So that's built. Them units are being sold, and the rest of the system, or the rest of the land, is being built on. When we sold it, Liam Byrne, who was our member of parliament, has a post on his social media where he said, jobs are going to be created for ward end residents. Investment will be brought back into the ward end community. The investment is given because of the disruption that is created. And we've seen traffic coming down, especially when Aston Church Road has come all the way down Washington Road up to
I
Fox and
went to a
Goose.
few Martins on Aston Church Road
And you're
in that
gridlocked.
period. Wow.
My son used to go to Fearless MMA, and it became impossible to go to Fearless MMA. Like, we used to go 3 times a week,
One
father
day
and
it
son
was
time.
raining. I parked on Washington Road and I had to walk through the car park. I had to go back to my car. I had no carry bags. I had to go to one of the shops, get 2 carry bags, put them on my shoes, and because the car park for the mosque was obviously muddy. I hear it's open now.
It is.
Fully?
It's a nice road.
Okay. But yeah, that was massive.
It went on for more months than it needed to, but HS2 promised us money back into the community to compensate us for disruption.
Has that happened?
We didn't see the money. We didn't see the jobs.
Has
They
there
didn't
been
see
any accountability?
no accountability, no replies. But one thing is that they didn't give us the jobs. They didn't give us the money. They said that you don't have the skills in the community to give any jobs to the residents. We said, how can we work with the job centre, which is also in Warden on Washington Road, to look at how we create the apprenticeships, the training programs that we partner with you on to create them. Zero reply. But to top it all off, the drilling led to houses on Common Lane and Coronation Road receiving cracks through them. So the properties have got literally lines through them.
I'm an insurance man, I know.
And nobody replies because they know, and you know as an insurance man, residents can't afford to take a suit up or civil suit up with the big people of the HS2, and that's where we needed our representation. That's where we needed our voice. That's where we needed our MP and our councillor to come.
So we have HS2. What other issues are there in your ward?
So we've got a nitrous oxide craze throughout our city. My pledge and my commitment to my community of Ward End is that we will make Ward End nitrous oxide free. And the reason it's a big issue in Ward End is it's fresh on my head because today alone, whilst campaigning, I counted 37 bottles of nitrous oxide in Ward End.
How do you get rid of it?
You work with trading standards and you work with your police force and you find where they're being sold.
The police force shouldn't need to be told. Trading standards they know there's a problem and many people have highlighted it already. Why isn't action being taken? And it's not just your ward, this is across Birmingham. Why isn't action being taken?
So when in conversation with the police, right, typically we should be having police ward meetings every 4 weeks where you task your police force on what you'd like them to work on, right? Yeah. So if there's an increase in theft, increase in car robberies, increase in antisocial behaviour in certain hotspots, you should be working with your police force and regularly contacting them so they know where the priorities are and what the residents' concerns
So
are.
do you feel the current councillors are not holding the police to account or engaging with them or liaising with them?
So we've had no police meeting for 4 years. I established a relationship with the good officers of Ward End because we had a protest with UKIP when they came to Ward End, right? Yeah, so it created an open channel for us to start discussing. And then off the back of those relationships, we started having these discussions. They're willing and they're ready to do this work. We've seen conversations from residents where residents are saying on across Washington Road, between St. Margaret's Road and Ashquith Road, gangs of men are gathering up, more than 4 men, 5 men, sometimes up to 30 men, and they feel intimidated to walk down Washington Road. Our police force want to
There's gangs, there's prostitution issues there.
Yes.
There's been, over the years, there's been quite a few issues.
PSPO order needs to be put across the whole of Washington Road to make sure no more than 4 people are gathering in a group. And if that will allow the police to enforce and break those groups up, that is the council's job to create that order for the police to enforce. We sent the email 2 months ago, no reply. That's number 2.
Okay. One more.
Number 3, Number three is saving our library. So we've got a library in Warden, which is close to 100 years old. I grew up in that library. I remember we never used to have the internet at home. We didn't have enough money to pay for the dial-up every month, right? Yeah, so we used to use the library. At the point I used to use the library, there was a 6-week wait to book a computer. But if you went ad hoc and someone wasn't using one or they missed an appointment, you could go use it, right? Yeah. So I spent many weekends there. Our library is at a point of, if they don't save it, they will have to close it. So for the last 2 or 3 years, it's been running on a temporary boiler. I've been fighting to get the library open for more hours, and we should be given an extra day. However, the long-term plan is that we need to move it either into Warden Park in the White House, which will be a 5 to 8 year plan, or we need to look at what else we can do with it. But we don't want our library to close.
You recently done something at Warden Park, didn't you, with the volleyball pitches?
So we've got a large volleyball community in Warden, and many of them came out, and they were actually sold a dream about 5 to 6 years ago where they were promised a volleyball pitch or a volleyball area, and it wasn't made to standard, but they were told that £100,000 was spent. They put some, like that DPF kind of sheet down, put some grass on top of it, and they said Kero volleyball, and they didn't want it. So those volleyball players had to travel to places like Oldbury to play, where they've got a state-of-the-art place for them to play. They also play in Chelmsley Wood and other areas. So what I did was I spoke to a number of council officers. I kept on the case of our current councillor, Bushra, and we successfully had a volleyball pitch laid out in Warden Park. However, it's still got some challenges. It's still not up to standard because, like I always say, and like I said before, when you do things, you do them in partnership with the community. We should have had 1, 2, 3 or 4 of those volleyball players being all the way from inception to design to execution, walking along that project because it's their money. The other thing is, some people took advantage of this situation and made it something political, right? Yeah. Every man and his dog was making TikTok videos that I done this and I done that and I'm the man behind it, right? Yeah. At the end of the day, none of us are the people behind it. It's those people's money. They pay council tax. There's a large group of them, and we should congratulate that group for being so united. They were united in their numbers throughout Birmingham, and they got their pitch because they stood up and they asked for what they want. When other groups want it, they should stand united. So whether you are a group of paddle players, you want badminton, you want cricket, stand together because your power, this is your money that's given back. There's no badri of a councillor. There's no, oh my God, the councillor did this. These are the people, and this is the people power. And congratulations to the volleyball players for getting what they wanted.
We have a quick fire round. 1-word answers, please. 1 word to describe Warden.
Home.
Biggest issue facing residents in Warden right now.
Voiceless.
Cleaner streets or more policing, which is a bigger priority?
Cleaner streets.
One thing Birmingham City Council is getting wrong within Warden.
Representation.
One thing residents would notice improving in your first 6 months.
Parking.
Local youth services or tougher enforcement on antisocial behaviour. Which comes first?
Local youth services.
Should more housing be built in Woodend?
Of course.
Best way to support small businesses in your ward?
Traders Association. 2 words.
Yeah. Raise council tax or cut services?
Freeze council tax.
Finish the sentence. Woodend will thrive if...
Harris Khaliq is elected on the 7th of May.
MashaAllah. Okay, cool. 30 seconds. That camera there. Why should people vote for Harris Khaliq?
Local voice, local representation, someone who grew up in the community. I know the community like the back of my hand, right? Yeah. I care about the community. It's the same community that my kids go to school in. I never grew out of the community. I never outgrew the community. I want to bring that change because I care about the residents. Your problems are my problems. The pothole your car hits, my car hits it. My mom has to walk past that rubbish the same way you have to walk past that rubbish. Together we'll build that Warden that we deserve, and we will live with dignity and respect.
MashaAllah. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Inshallah, if you win, we will have you back here every month. And like I've said to all the councillors, best of luck, and we look forward to following your campaign.
Thank you so much, Abid.
People, stay tuned. 9 o'clock, we have a surprise. I can let the cat out the bag now. I have a Conservative councillor coming in. I have a Conservative candidate coming in. 9 o'clock. Get your tea ready. Get your pack of biscuits ready. This one's going to be fun.